I've just come across a few field mushrooms now. I'm going to struggle getting them home in one piece, but I'm going to try. This is a short notice, hastily put together trip I got up this morning, not sure what to do, whether to go for a day walk, go for a run out, go bird watching, go for an overnight trip. The forecast at the moment, well, the forecast is for rain, but it's due to come early evening, so I planned something not too far. I've set off from home walking through the Python Valley, and I'm just heading towards Reddick-and-Dean Res now. I'm in Yorkshire, Saddleworth. I've got a little dalliance back into Lancashire, and then I'm back in Yorkshire again. Now this res here is Reddick-and-Dean, and I was here only a few weeks ago and the water level were much lower than it is now, so with all that rain we've had of late, it's topping things up quite well. Just noticed ahead there's some cows up here in the valley. I don't think I've ever seen cows up here before. Look at the interface here between this grey mineral soil and the black peat above. This grey mineral soil is a Mesolithic layer. Right, I'm just crossing the county boundary. Leaving Yorkshire, just stepped into Lancashire. I'm in the old township of Butterworth. And just up here is the easternmost point in Lancashire. I was saying back there about flinting up here and the Mesolithic layer where we're walking today, and I've talked about this on other videos around here. We're walking in a Mesolithic heartland. There's a huge concentration of fine spots. Well, I think they were first found about 1870s, and this valley has a real concentration of them. Not that you'll find much evidence now because it's all grassed over. But when I was younger, I'd do a walk up here and I'd pick up flints from the Mesolithic. Still find the odd one every now and again. Found one a few weeks ago, a tiny one. But I found some good stuff as well. I'm not sure whether you can see that feather, but it's an absolute beauty. Look at the markings on that. I reckon that's off a red grouse. It's not really much of a walk, this. I've got a new tent and I'm just quite eager to try it out. I was thinking about last weekend. The weather was bleeding awful on Saturday. I need to get cracking really. I think I said earlier, did I? There's rain due at tea time, 5 o'clock-ish. I'm looking behind me over my shoulder, them skies are looking a bit ominous. So, no dilly-dallying ideally. So we're at the Waystone now, Waystone Edge. Just gazing north there, across M62, Blackstone Edge over there, Strudley Pike I can see. The wind's getting up, and I have got a couple of spots in mind up here where I camp, but they are quite exposed. I've used them before in pretty still conditions, so I might just go for a bit of a wander, see if I can find somewhere a bit out at wind. Now I struggle finding somewhere sheltered up here, so I'm back near Waystone, and there's only one spot, which I've used this before in the notch, probably 2020 I think, COVID time, but I've had to put this tent in a slightly different orientation. It's not ideal really. I wanted the guys into the wind, but I don't know, it's solid enough. The Waystone's quite a significant place for me really. I come up here the day before I got wed, and I come up here to practice my speech, probably to get my head around the following day. But yeah, I come up here, spent a couple of hours, just sat on the Waystone. Nice sunny August day, just a piece of paper with my speech, just trying to learn it. The Waystone always makes me think as well of the Saddleworth author Ammon Wrigley, who I'm a huge fan of. I've started collecting Ammon Wrigley's books. I think the first one I bought was 1991 or 1992, and it were one called Songs of a Moorland Parish, and I think that's his best book. Yeah, Ammon Wrigley was a well-known Saddleworth author, poet, antiquarian, archaeologist, natural historian, born in 1861 and died in 1946. So for that time he had a good innings. In his writings of the moors around here, the Saddleworth area, and he goes a bit further north, he ventures into my neck of the woods, Milner, Littleborough and stuff. I've never read anything that really captures the feel of my local moorlands, and even 1946, or what's that, 60 odd years later, longer, 70 years later, I find him still very relevant, and I think about him a lot when I'm walking around here. And it was him really that got me into flint and the local Stone Age. He was a collector. He had a really good collection which he donated to the Tolson Memorial Museum in, is it the Tolson Memorial Museum? Anyway, the Tolson Museum in Huddersfield. One of his books is called The Wind Amongst the Heather, and the front cover, if I think on, I'll take a picture of it and show it. The front cover, there is a picture of the Waystone, a picture that he drew of the Waystone. So it's obviously quite important to him. And in one of his books he describes a night. He used to spend a lot of time roaming the moors, or the moorland roads, even at night, because he used to like going to these far out pubs on the moors, the Buckstones Inn, the Isle of Skye, Nont Surers, the Great Western. These are all pubs that he liked to frequent. And he describes a walk, don't know where he was coming from, and he got lost on the moors at night. It was foggy, and he was starting to panic. He said he was starting to panic, and he'd no idea where he was. And then he said, all of a sudden was this great gust of wind that just tore away all the moor grime and revealed stars. And when he looked around, he was near the Waystone, and it was such an important reference point for him. He knew the Waystone, knew it well, and from there he could find his way back home. I became quite a collector of Ammon Wrigley memorabilia. I eventually acquired all his books,
The last one I got was the very first one he published, and it was called Saddleworth Superstitions and Folk Customs. So it didn't sell very well, so naturally it's a very scarce book. Anyway, I got it eventually. I was pleased to get hold of that one and complete my collection. But I've picked up other bits and bats down the years, Ammon Wrigley stuff. I've got some letters that he wrote, some quite short letters, but letters nonetheless. His handwriting, it looks really nice, but it's quite difficult to decipher. I've also got a little like lapel badge from the Ammon Wrigley Fellowship. Now, the Ammon Wrigley Fellowship, I think, started in the 1930s, and it were all his, I suppose, his fans and followers in Saddleworth and the local area. They used to meet up, do walks, meet up at various pubs in the evening and stuff like that. And Ammon Wrigley was a member of his own fellowship, and I think that sort of lingered on until about the early 1980s, when I suppose all the old members jossed it. But yeah, I've got like a little lapel badge of the Ammon Wrigley Fellowship. Can't remember where I got that from. And of course, it were the writings of Ammon Wrigley that alerted me to Joe at Ragstones, the bloke who's buried at Christchurch at Denshaw, whose grave got buried under an access track, and whose grave I managed to get raised 18 months ago or whatever. Well, look a bit ropey, don't I? It's been raining for about 2 hours now. It's 10:30 and I'm going to be going to sleep soon. I've just been listening to it rain, listening to podcasts. Listened to a good one about George Foreman. Reading. Quite a pleasant night, really. Very impressed with the new tent. I like the livability of it. If I think on, I'll tell you a bit more about my rationale about buying this tent and stuff tomorrow. But yeah, that's it for tonight, and hopefully morning time the rain will have stopped, and I'll next speak to you then. Night and God bless. Good night.
Look at that there. There's a lot of pooled water under the ground sheet. It's like Harold Steptoe's waterbed under here. Crikey, look a bit rough this morning. I didn't have a very good night's sleep. It just more to do with the noise of the rain. I think that's probably the most solid amount of rain I've ever had in a tent. It started about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I'd say it stopped about 4:30, and it absolutely hammered down. Really quite disturbing, even with the earplugs in. I think it's about 7 o'clock-ish now, so I've just checked outside. It's misty, but it is supposed to brighten up this morning, so I might just have a leisurely morning and wait till it brightens up a bit. It's brightening up. Let's go.
Right, so we're on the road now. I'm just on top of White Hill. Sun's just breaking through. It's quite a nice morning actually, although the ground's really damp. My feet are soaked even with my sealskins on. The way back is pretty much the way I came up. I'm going to go back down to Reddick and Dean, and then I'm going to go through the Python Valley, but I'm going to go a different way through the Python Valley. I want to check out a couple of little woods, see if I can find any mushrooms. So what's with new tent? It was a bit of a spur of the moment thing really. When I went camping on Wild Boar Fell with Dave had a Durston X-Mid, and it gave me a good opportunity to have a proper look at it really, and I really liked it. I like the massive porch, the space, and on that camp I used the Scarp, and I just enjoyed the roominess of it. I mean, I've used my notch for years. When did I buy that? 2019. It's coming up to 6-year-old, and it's a fantastic tent. I really like it. But I don't know, something on that wild boar fell trip, maybe it's a bit of an age thing. I just really appreciated that bit of extra space, more than I've ever done before. And then looking at Dave's X-Mid, which is that were a one-person tent, and I just thought that's kind of lighter than the Scarp, because I don't want to carry the Scarp all the time. I know it's not an heavy tent. It's lighter than the Scarp and it's roomier. And then when I went home, I had a look at price of them. And I think they were only about 200 quid, which is fantastic value, really. If it were 300-400, I wouldn't have bothered. I'd have just carried on with what I've got. One sticking point with the bloody import fees. I really begrudge paying them. I thought, like, my next tent, I'm going to buy and maybe consider a European one, just to avoid them. But then I thought, I wonder if I could buy the outer and the inner separate, because that's under the 135 quid threshold. Just cut out the import fees. Anyway, I looked on the website and they weren't available as separate entities. So I did find out though that there is a way of claiming back some of your customs fees. Some sort of loophole. Somebody on social media put me onto this blog, and this bloke had done it, and he got a portion of his import fees back. So I've done that. I downloaded the relevant form, filled it in how this bloke instructed, and hopefully I'll get some of it back. And to be honest, my import fees that I got charged were disproportionately low. Normally when I bought stuff from North America, the import fees have sort of been much of a muchness. I think I only got charged about 60 quid. Maybe that's because the tent were cheap, I don't know, but it weren't as bad as I thought. I was expecting something near a 90. But like I say, if I get a chunk of that back as well, then I'll be happy with that. Another thing that attracted me to the X-Mid, aside from really liking the look of Dave's, I've just seen for quite a while how Dan Durston conducts himself. And I really like the cut of his jib. He's polite, he's professional. I've seen the way he deals with customer questions, issues, complaints even. And he just does it with a really nice way about him. And I think he comes across really well as a person. So I thought, well, that's an important thing for me. So what do I make of the tent after spending a night in it? I thought it was brilliant, really good. Mind you, how many people use the tent that they've just bought and say it's a load of crap? No, it's the space to weight ratio I really like. It feels higher up, just feels roomier than the other tents. And I love I like trekking pole tents, me, twin trekking pole dual porch tents. I think they're my favourite design, and the porches are massive. So yeah, after a rough night weather-wise, I thought I could hear off-road bikers then, which pissed me off intensely, but I think it's a high-pitched moo of a cow. That's the way. I found some puffballs here, and when they're fresh, these are not a bad edible. There's no tea now in this area, save for a big patch of nettles, but there used to be a farm here called Cold Grieve. I think it was demolished in the late 60s. Now, look above my hand there, what I spy. They look like two big chunky mushrooms. Look at these, absolutely belting horse mushrooms. Fantastic things these, I love them. Look at this horse chestnut thing, packed with conkers.
Well, it weren't meant to be a mushroom hunting trip, but look at this prize, the ultimate, well, one of the ultimate species, ultimate edibles, chanterelles. Fantastic. I hope I can get these home in one piece. These can be a bit fragile.
Right, I'm going to stop there, I think. I've still got a bit to go home, but I don't think there's out exciting coming up. It weren't the most thrilling trip, that, really. I was just keen to test the tent out. I spent a lot of time in the tent, which I'm not a big fan of, really. I like to camp but be outside if possible. But what was brilliant was the mushrooms. One of the best hauls I've had for a couple of years, I'd say. Good, high quality edibles as well. So I'll have to think I'm gonna use some of these over the next week or so. Right, I'm not sure when I'm going to be out again. It tends to tail off for me over autumn and winter. They're not my favourite seasons, really. Not much wildlife about or anything. I don't know. See what happens. Might get some fine days and that. Right, thanks for watching. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you next time.